Hi, my name is Ezra. I have two older brothers, or should I say, had two older brothers, since they are no longer living with us. I had no idea where they went, and my parents refused to give me a straight answer. When I ask, I always get, they went to stay with your grandparents, or it doesn't matter anymore, they're gone. I remember the last time I saw my oldest brother, Matthew. My father and him were having a big fight. The next day, my brother disappeared. His room was empty, and my parents acted like everything was normal. And when I asked about Matthew, they said he'll be back soon, but he never did. The same thing happened nearly 3 weeks later with my older brother Adam, except that there was no fight with him. He was just here one day and gone the next. I kept asking what had happened to them, but they just kept avoiding the entire conversation. I didn't understand why they wouldn't answer me. I just wanted to know. I missed my brothers, and while I was trapped in my own head wondering what could have happened to them, I started to notice something else. My parents were avoiding me, like I didn't even exist. I would walk into a room and they would stop talking, or abruptly start a new conversation, or even a few times they would simply stop what they were doing, get up, and walk out of the room. After my second brother disappeared, I decided that was it. I want to call the police, but when the police arrived at our home, my parents managed to convince them that they had no other children but me. They even showed them fake documents that stated that. And they also claimed that I was crazy. The police believed them and left. I thought that after the police left, my parents would tell me something, anything. Get mad for calling them or react, but again, they did nothing. So I went to my room. I felt so lonely without my brothers. I sprawled out on my bed and stared at the ceiling. I had to figure out what the hell was going on. I thought of a plan. The only way to figure out what was happening was to what my parents were saying while they were alone. So the plan was that I would sneak into their bedroom and hide underneath their bed before they went in there to go to sleep, and I would just sneak out after they fell asleep. Seems foolproof, right? Maybe this way I could get some answers about what was going on. Later that day, all three of us sat at the table and ate our dinner in silence, which is how every meal went for the last month or so. Nobody looked at anything other than our plates as we shoveled the mediocre meatloaf into our mouths. After I finished mine, I excused myself and went back to my room and waited. They always went to bed at the same time every day, so I knew it wouldn't be hard to get in there and into position under the bed before they came up to go to sleep. It was almost time for my parents to come up to bed. So I crept into their bedroom, being sure not to creak any boards that they might hear downstairs, and crawled underneath their bed. It was a tight fit. The air was thick with dust, and after the bedskirt was down and in place, the darkness was absolute. Now all there was left to do was wait. So I waited, and waited, and eventually I fell asleep. It was weird they didn't come to bed when they normally did, but when they did finally come to bed and my father climbed into bed, I woke up. I could hear them talking, but it was the end of the conversation. That would definitely work, my mother said, sounding happy. But I think we should try something a little less drastic. What in the hell were they talking about? Yeah, you're right, my father replied. We'll try to figure something else out. I heard the sound of a quick kiss. The bed creaked as my father got comfortable. And then there was nothing but breathing, and in between each breath, an echoing silence. After I knew that they were asleep, I quietly made my way out of the bedroom and back to my room. Lying in bed, I tried to figure out what they could have been talking about. The next day, I decided that I was going to hide underneath their bed again, and not fall asleep this time. When I got under there and they finally came to bed, they never mentioned anything out of the ordinary. I was going to figure this out and didn't care if I had to crawl under there every single night until I could find out what was going on. I just needed to know. This went on for close to a week before they mentioned anything relating to whatever was so drastic. We could always just ship him off to a military school, my mother said as they walked into the bedroom. That could work. Wait, is this where my brothers went? Yeah, but the only problem with that is, when he gets done with school, they're just going to ship him back, my father answered. I know, but we have to figure something out, my mother said. And I know that you don't want to do anything as drastic as what happened before. I like him more than I like the others. I heard my father sigh deeply. Yeah, but we can't keep doing this. It's draining us out. I felt my father shift his weight above me. Listen, get some sleep. I heard the kissing sound again. Try not to think about it. After I got back to my bedroom, I tried to piece together what I had heard. My parents did something to my brothers. I don't know what it was, but I was starting to get the feeling that they weren't staying with my grandparents like they said. The next few nights were uneventful, and they didn't bring anything new up, but something weird started happening. My parents were being nice to me. I found both of them staring at me with a smile on their faces, and their eyes lost in a daydream. They would get up and leave the room, and I would be left with a creepy feeling. After nearly 2 weeks of hiding in their bedroom, I still had no answer. When I got home from school, I was surprised to see a birthday cake waiting for me. My parents then said, "Happy 18th birthday." I was confused. My birthday was in 8 months, and they knew it. I started asking questions, and they said that they forgot to tell me that I had always celebrated my birthday on the wrong date. I was beyond disturbed, and then I saw a military bus arriving. My parents handed me some bags and said that they have prepared this surprise for me, that I was going to join the military school. I said that I wasn't going, but then 2 huge men got out of the bus and they came to grab me inside. So I ran. I ran as fast as I could down the street, never looking back. I ran and I ran till I couldn't run anymore. I sat down on the curb and looked down the street in the direction I came. No one was following me. A car drove by me and pulled over next to me. It was a police officer. He asked what I was doing here. I could have told him that my parents were evil and they were planning to get rid of me like they did with my brothers, but I knew the police would believe my parents like they did last time. I don't know what's got me, but I decided to run from the police too. It just felt like the whole world was against me. But of course, the police caught me. I was taken into investigation. They said that I was acting suspiciously because I refused to cooperate. But then they wanted to call my parents to come pick me up. I started crying, begging them not to. That's when I started talking. I told them about everything that had happened with me, about my brothers who disappeared, and how my parents had all the fake documents needed to get away with it. That's when the police decided to open up a secret investigation to see what my parents were up to, and I had to cooperate with them. The police started looking into my parents' records, and to my shock, the records stated that they had adopted 3 boys 17 years ago. The boys' names were Jacob, Jasper, and Eddie. I was confused for a moment, but then it started to make sense. These boys were me and my 2 brothers, but these were not our names. The officer then said that the 3 brothers were born in the same month, which was super weird. I thought that my brothers and I were different ages. Why haven't they told us that we were adopted? And why they changed our names and birthdays? I was baffled. The police then asked me if I could help them discover more. That's when they offered that I go back to my parents' house and wear a wire under my clothes. I didn't hesitate, and I said yes. The next day, I wore the wire, and I went knocking on my parents' door while an undercover police car waited outside. When my parents opened the door, they were surprised to see me. I went in, and then I started asking them questions. I told them I knew about the whole adoption thing, that they lied about our ages and our names, and I demanded that they come clean. Both of them seemed surprised that I had found all of this out, and for the first time, I saw them lose their cool. They started arguing with each other, how they had it under control until they went too easy on me. I interrupted them and yelled, "Just tell me the truth!" That's when my father, with his angry tone, started shouting, "You were so stupid not to figure it all out all of these years. Your 2 brothers knew years ago." Then he told me with anger that yes, we were adopted. They had only adopted us to get social and income benefits, which their lawyer had set up. Actually, they had made off of it $250,000. Their plan was to let us go as soon as we turned 18 without exposing their illegal adoption. That's why they tricked one of my brothers into working abroad, after they sent him an email claiming to be a known company. And as for my other brother, they lied to him and said his real parents were millionaires who live in South Africa, and now he's out there looking for them. As for me, the plan was to send me off to the military and cut all contact with me and move to another country. I couldn't believe it. They have scammed me my whole life. Tears were running down my cheeks. I wanted to get out of there. But that's when my father yelled, Where do you think you're going with all these secrets? You will be spending some time in the basement. And before I knew it, he grabbed me aggressively. My alleged mother started helping him get me under control, but that's when the police broke in and they stopped them. After that, both of them got locked up, and the police closed down the investigation. However, I'm still searching for my brothers, and I hope I'll find them one day.